Hello everyone, welcome to ITLS Academy. Myself, Advocate Priyanka, and in continuation of clinical research series, today we are going to talk about the clinical research from the patient perspective. So till now, we have talked a lot about clinical research, but the perspective or you can say view was from the other side, that is from the side of researchers, clinical researchers, collaborators, investigators. But in this video we will see that what is the clinical research from the patient side. So clinical research or patient perspective, it will be an interactive session and you have to make it more interactive by adding comments in the comment section after the view complete video. So for this video, we will talk about highlights of previous session as usual, and then we will come to the what is clinical research. As I know that we have talked a lot about clinical research, but for whom, if anyone is seeing my video first time and he just wondering that what is the clinical research through a patient perspective, but before to that he wants to know that what is the clinical research. So I will just give a very short introduction about the what is clinical research, then what does patient perspective means in clinical research. So we will see that what is the patient's view in clinical research, then what is the motivator for patient in participating in clinical research or you can say in clinical trial, then concern of patients in clinical research participation, obstacles of patient in clinical research participation, and then what is patient's centricity. So it is about all about the things which we are going to talk about in this video. And there is some typo error. It's not patents, it's a patient centricity. So let's move. First, we will talk about the previous session. So in previous session, we have talked about National Institute of Health Policy, or you can say NIH policy, on the inclusion of women and minorities as human subject research. So we have talked that why it is important to add women and minorities, and what is the policy for that, why others don't want to include. So this and what can be barrier, what if women and minorities are included, and what can be not you can say include as barriers during the inclusion of women and minorities as a human subject research. So in that video we have talked about the what is NIH. So NIH is a basically part of US Department of Health and Human Services. Then we have talked about that what is human subject research. So human subject research is basically a living individual about whom an investigator conducting research obtains. So see, when any clinical research is going on, obviously there are clinical trials going on and clinical trials are done on the human. So that particular group of human on which clinical trials are going on, that will become under the human subject research. Then what are the legislatives behind this? So basically the NIH Revitalization Act of 1993, signed on 10 June 1993, directed the NIH to establish guidelines for inclusion of women and minorities in clinical research. So you can say it is the basic law for the inclusion of women and minorities and human subject research. Then we have talked about that what are the policy and guidelines. So basically there are three policy. First, inclusion of women and members of racial and or ethnicity minority groups in clinical research. Then B is NIH defined phase 3 clinical trials. So basically what is the phase 3 clinical trials according to NIH. So see here it is mentioned NIH defined clinical phase 3. Then planning, conducting and reporting analysis for sex, race or ethnicity differences, like how will they report if there are men, women, if they are from the different groups. So how will they report? They will prepare the report. How will they plan? How will they conduct the research? All the things and comes under this principle. Then guidelines for reporting results of valid analysis in clinicaltrials.gov. So about all these things we have talked a lot in my previous video, that is the lecture number 14. So if you wish you can go and watch that video. So now today we will move to our today's topic, that is the clinical research a patient perspective. So first we will see that what is clinical research. Clinical research, in this image you can see that it starts from analysis and goes to health. So clinical research is basically analysis of any new drug or any component, and then to check out that is it beneficial. If it is beneficial inside the lab, then it will go to the clinical trials for the clinical study, and then they will see that how much effective it is or it is not effective. After the all these things, it will come into the form of medication, and then it will come to the person, which will obviously improve the health of the human beings. So this is the whole process of clinical research. So clinical research is basically a branch of healthcare which determines and maintain the safety and effectiveness of drug, medical devices, treatment methods, diagnostic tools, and diagnostic methods. So these are all about the things which are included in a simple term, that is clinical research. But how much look it's simple, it is not simple like that. In clinical research there are so many steps, though so many things include, and we have discussed a lot about these things. And now we will see that how patients see these things, how patients see clinical research from their point of view, what they feel about it, what are the obstacles for them. So first, we will define that what patient perspective means in clinical trials. So, what are the views? So, patient perspectives means basically understanding patient's motivation to join clinical trial. Obviously, for the clinical trial, there must be patients, there must be participants. So, what will be the motivation to join them? What is the goal? What are the concerns? What are the experience related to their disease and its treatment? All these views of a patient will collectively called patient perspective for the clinical trial. Now, there is other thing also, that what patient wants when they are participating in a trial. It's not like that if anyone is participating, he doesn't want anything. Obviously, he wants something. What they want. So there are different categories of people. So there are different categories of desires, wants. You can say that. So different patients have different things which they want when they are participating in a trial. We will see this also in our next slides. So next is like we will see that what are the basically motive. So what works as the motivator for patient to join in clinical trial. So first, or you can say very important reason, or one among the very important reason, is that patients think that this clinical trial is going to help future patients from what they have suffered or from what they are suffering. Future patients will not suffer. Second, it is also important that they think that, or not they think, it is real that it improve their quality of life. It will also work as a very good motivator for any patient for participating in clinical trial. Then highly motivated to participate in order to receive the best care possible. Obviously, when someone has some disease and any other researcher is working on that disease, so uh, they will search persons who have already that disease to see that how their medicines are affecting them, and for that they will participate as in the clinical trial, and in that during they will receive the best care possible. So it is also an important thing that patients think that if they will participate in clinical trial, they will get a best care which maybe they are not getting now. Then being compensated to participate would a motivator. Obviously, like if anyone is participating in clinical trial, as I told earlier, that there are different motives for them. So for someone, it can be like they will get compensate. Obviously, when someone has the lower household income and they needs they need to increase their economic status. In that case also, if they are participating in the clinical trial, they will get some economic benefits, and then that's why they are more inclined to believe compensation would be a motivator to participate. So there are I have we have seen here that it's not like that for all the person there is the single motivator. For all the person there are different motivators to join the clinical trial. Now we will see that what are patients concerns in clinical trials. So what they think about few things in the clinical trial, like if we talk about the safety. So safety is the major concern, or you can say that on the top of list of the concerns. Like, and what is the safety concern? So basically chief safety concern is like, see, if anyone has any disease, obviously he is getting treated. But if someone, they are if they are going for the what you say, they are going for the uh, clinical trial, participating in clinical trial, they will get the medicines. So we were talking about the chief safety concern about see, if any patient who is participating in the clinical trial, he has some disease for which he has enrolled himself for the clinical trial. But obviously, before to clinical trial, he was getting treated by some other doctor. So he has some other treatments also there. So they participants' views is like that the current research should not interfere with their current previous, or you can say current treatment. Otherwise, it will make their condition more worse. So this is the most important safety concern for the patient when they are participating in clinical trials. Then institutional supports. So patient's concern is that there must be someone who is available to answer for their questions, like about their study, or what is about how study is going on, or if they have some any you can say medical problem associated to that. So there must be someone who gave them continuous support. So that is basically through the institutional support. So if institution for which on which they are in, they are enrolled, if it is good, they will get the institutional support. So that it's their concern also that to which institution they are getting enrolled and how much the institutional support is from there. Now logistics. So logistics is also is a very important role when any patient is deciding that he should enroll himself or herself in the clinical trial or not. Because if some patient is in Delhi and other things are getting in the Mumbai or some other places, then obviously logistic will be a you can say can be obstacle. So how much logistic support is there? It is also a patient's concern when they are participating in clinical trials. Now, what are patients' obstacles in clinical trials? So basically, what they feel that, or not only feel, basically what is the main problems when they are participating in the clinical trials? Like first, patients with life-threatening conditions are most concerned about gaining access to treatments. So, like if anyone has some life-threatening conditions and they have already enrolled themselves for the clinical trials, but at that time, if their condition get worst, or something like you can say not only in simple worst sentence, like you can say that it is getting more worst, so it can become life threatening for them. So at that time, if there is access of treatments for them or not. So sometimes what happens, there is no proper access of treatments for the life threatening condition. So this is the you can say important patients obstacles when they are participating in the clinical trials. Then second is like individuals whose condition limits their mobility are concerned about logistic factor, as we talked in the previous slide. Like if some has some you can say mobility problems, like they cannot move frequently from one place to another place. So in that case, if they have already enrolled themselves for the clinical trials, and at the later stage if it becomes problematic, like they can't move, they can't go from there here to there, so in that case it is also a very big obstacle for the patient when they are participating in clinical trials. Now next, like some people who has low income, and if they have problem like people with asthma or allergy, and if you don't know, I will just I would like just to say a single line that this type of problems basically comes to the low income people, because they work in the that area where chemicals, dust that will increase their asthmatic problems or allergic problems. So that's why it is saying that it is said that people with asthma or allergic basically seen in the low income people. So they are concerned about the financial obstacle also to participating in medical research. So which we talked about in previous slide, that what is the motivator for the participating in clinical trial, like financial. So here also they are concerned that if they are getting more, I mean enough financial support or not. So this is also a obstacle. So see, here we can see that there is not any solution like which can fit in the every situation. There is not a one size fit all situation, because different patients, different persons have different problems. For that there is different solutions. So obviously it is important to consider the particular obstacle facing patients when they are making decisions about whether or not to partake. So it is not like that there should be some common rule that okay, it is like that, then they are participating. No, it is like that what is the individual patient problem, what is individual patient is facing the obstacle. So in that case they have to check and they have to give a solution for that particular obstacle. So it is about the patient's obstacle in clinical trial. Now we will talk about the what is the patient centricity in clinical trial. As its name is only telling, see, patient centricity. Centricity, that when patient feel that they are in the center. So that means they are the important part of that clinical research. So how they will feel? When they will feel like they are the partners of the that clinical trials. It's not like that they are only participating. So when they feel that they are the partners, or they have the centric position in that particular clinical trials, then obviously they will get more interested for participating in the clinical trials. So how they will feel like they when they will talk with doctors, clinical trial coordinator and nurses involved in the research would either very likely or likely help them feel more like a partner in the research. It's not like that what they have I mean what in the process they have to give the medicine, they will be given and now they are not allowed to talk to anyone. Then they will not feel that they are also the part of the important part of the clinical trial. So for that obviously there must be access to talk with the doctors and clinical trial coordinators and nurses who are involved in these things. So if they will talk frequently with them, then they will feel, oh yes, we are also the important part of the particular clinical trial which is going on. And if we see about the older patients, they are not only like they have talking with the only medical professionals, they also want to talk with the other patients like them. So if there is a facility to you can say interact with others patients, then they will feel more comfortable and they will feel more centric in that particular clinical trials. So this is the clinical research through the patient perspective, that what are the obstacles, what works as motivator, what are the concerns, and how they can feel that they are an important part of that clinical trials. So we have talked a lot about the patient's perspective. If you have any doubt or if you think that I have missed any point, you can just let me in the comment section. And next topic which we are going to cover is the clinical researcher and media. That means like, see, what is the, you can ask that what is the role of media in the clinical research? Obviously, for the clinical research, we need to go for the clinical trials. And for clinical trials, we need more and more participants. And how will we get that? We will get that through the media only, because media will highlight it. Media will highlight the importance of clinical trials, then they will get the more participants. So in next session we will see that what is the correlation between the clinical research and media. So till then I would like to say thank you to you all, and I would like to acknowledge Google also, because images I have taken from the Google. I have structured different images from the Googles, and I have taken open study materials also from the open sources. So thank you to Google also, and thank you to all. And please don't forget to follow ITLS Academy on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, everywhere you can find the ITLS Academy. Thank you so much for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much. See you soon in the next class.